or the choice really about having kids or not having kids, there's different stigmas. There's stigma about having children, and there's also a stigma about not having children. Like a lot of young women now are actually saying, for what reason would you give up your lifestyle? For what reason would you give up all this freedom and money and all your beautiful clothes to have children? So there's actually a lot of career women who actually, or not even career women, just women in general going, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's not the done thing anymore. And so there's a lot of pressure still on women, and more from women. You know, when you're out and about, I don't know about you, but does a man walk up to you and go, so you're going to have kids? Or does a woman walk up to you and say, oh, you're going to have kids? And I've had a lot of women actually say, especially those who are going through some challenges in conceiving, they said, you know, why is it that my private life is open for everybody to challenge? So you haven't had kids yet? Well, actually I can't. Oh, I'm going through IVF, or I'm going through surrogacy. There's a little bit of an absolute blasé-ness about the way we approach other women today, rather than with the reverence of, have I got to know you, and you know, is this something that you're broaching as a conversation, rather than just, yeah, I've had kids, or I'm not having kids, and what's your position? You know, there's a lot of women are asking for a lot more privacy or just gentleness in the approach of the topic. And so, as a I don't know if any of you know, I'm also a counsellor professionally. So after I did my study, I really did go all the way through, and I've worked with thousands of people over the years, and you know, on the topic of, you know, how do I know I've even got the right partner? How do I know if I even want to have kids? How do I know if I've left it too late? So many really deep questions. And so when I got to joining the trend, because I was over 35 when I had my first pregnancy, and I was still breastfeeding at 40, and so that whole, you know, joining the trend and becoming a late mum, and medically speaking, you know, they just threw everything at me. It's like, oh, you're over the hill, you're 35, you did this examination, you did this examination, we've got to make sure of this and that. And so, and again, just because it was free, there was no reason for me to choose it. And you could hear the subtleties. Like, I think, you know, the medical system, there's a lot of great things about it, but it does have, from a bit of a government point of view, of if you choose not to take this, then we'll take that away from you. And if you don't choose to immunise now, well, we won't cover any other immunisations, etc. And so, for me, it was the challenge about having my beliefs. How do I take, because I have quite a natural, organic point of view, but I love the medical industry as well, because it's like, how can I make them waltz together? How can I have them work together for me? So it was hearing their professional point of view and going, how does that sit? And so I've had 3 children, and I've given up, my last 2 were late, and I really did, you know, let's induce you, Zoe. It's like, oh, okay. If you must. I get to the hospital and I go, I can't do it. I go back home because I was really connected to my little babies in here. I knew every time I was having a boy, every time I was having a girl, and even on the last one, my daughter, I'm at the hospital and you know, she's screaming, don't do it, mummy, you know. So, okay, I won't do it, and I cancelled my last inducement. And my husband's going, oh my God, how could you do this to us? You know, and the doctor's going, I can work him. You know, the statistics of not inducing at 2 weeks overdue, or, you know, you're going over, is, you know, the mortality rate goes like this, and she's, you know, the baby's going to die, and it's like just totally hammering my husband. And it was like, well, who do I honour here? Who do I honour here? Do I honour myself? Do I honour my voice? Do I honour her voice? And I said, okay, look, you know what, I'm going to choose not to. What's the path here? And he went, oh, no problem, just come in tomorrow. If there's enough fluid in that tummy and the umbilical cord's pumping, it's all good. What? You've just like drilled us for an hour? So now I'm not saying, please don't think that I'm saying don't be induced, because if that's, because a lot of women have been induced and it's worked beautifully for them. So, you know, it's really about, again, your choice and about what you do and how you go about it. But after giving birth to my first child, I sat breastfeeding my son, and that was when this book was birthed, actually. So I was like, well, you know, I've helped thousands of people in Australia. What's the rest of the world thinking? how are they choosing how to have their babies? How are they, making it happen for them or not make it happen for them? And so that's when this book was born. And I decided to interview women from around the world on their points of views. And so in this book is women who have chosen to have kids, who have not had kids, who have gone IVF, who've had their first at 50. And and women who have gone on and said, well, gosh, every time I was in love with this person, he said, I don't want to have kids to you. And then the very next relationship, they'd have a child. It's like, what's the matter with me, It was all those deep questions. And I can tell we cried, we laughed. It was very personal. And the stories that these women shared with me, honestly, will have you crying and laughing and have you look at your whole life so differently. And at the end of each interview is a whole host of questions to ask yourself and to go through with your partner and stuff. But it's been really an amazing journey. And the 5, I know someone said, are you going to mention the 5 top influences? And please interrupt me, ask any question, because I know I can just chat. Oh, thank you for your honesty. Is that, the 5 top influences that came out of these interviews was about love, about career, about the biological clock, lifestyle and money. Those were the 5 top influences that influenced these women, whether they had children or didn't have children. Very impactful. And if I may, I'll just go a little bit into some of them, yeah? And so, in the topic of love, the biggest one was really, have I found the ideal partner? And how do I know if I found the ideal partner? It was a crushing conversation for them, because some of them, well, one lady actually in there actually chose not. She said, I cannot find an ideal partner. And she said to a man, thank you for the seed, I'll take the seed and I'll have this child on my own, because my values are what I want to impart on this child, not yours. And she tried IVF with the previous partner for ages and couldn't fall pregnant. And then he went off to have children with another man, with another woman, pardon. And so, it's interesting how, the connections we have, what's meant to be for you, and really about you pursuing your true choice is so important. And so, choosing the right partner, know who you are. Be courageous enough to speak your voice, even at the risk of losing that partner. One woman in here in another interview says that when she met the man, she said, do you want to have kids? That's my main criteria. Yeah, I want to have kids. But really, she was frightened of being alone, living a life alone. Because so many people say, you've got to have kids to look after you when you get old. Yeah? And in the olden days, it was like, oh yeah, the last born will look after you. But it's so much like that. And so she said, yes, I'll marry you. And then she got down the path and he's like, let's have kids, let's have kids. And she just couldn't. She couldn't have kids to him at all. And they separated, and it got, there's little forms of DV that got into the relationship because of the intensity of the lie. She's trying to hold up this lie, and she couldn't speak her voice. And he's, going, well, hang on, I want to have kids. And now he's gone on to find another partner. But he's a lot older. But they spent years on hiding the truth from one another. And so, again, it's so important to take the courage to be honest with yourself. Take the courage to be honest with yourself and risk your relationship. Because if it's the right relationship, you're actually not risking it. You're gaining so much from that. And so, and please, again, ask any questions. And so I'll go on to the next one, because I'm just checking on my time here. Education, which is what we were talking about earlier, has really impacted women greatly. You and I are so fortunate to have had the education that we have, because from that we're selecting our partners more diligently. We're much more discerning about who we allow into our lives. We're discerning about what sort of careers we follow. And even if we're not following a career, what kind of career do I want? I'm going to jump over here and study that or not study that. Or I'm just going to travel for several years until I find that. And maybe, you know what? I may never find my career, but I've had a great time traveling the world. You know, and you know, one of the ladies in here has done that. She's just continued to travel in the pursuit of herself. And she says, you know what, maybe I was just meant to just have pets. And that's it. I've got so much love in here. I'm a great auntie. I can have pets. You know, because you may, because a lot of women define themselves on cluckiness. Only if you're clucky, you'll make a good mum. How many women have heard that, you know? And thought, well, because I'm not clucky, I can't make a good mum, ever. And, you know, I look at my mum and she's always just mothering and mothering and mothering. You know, I've got a gorgeous mum. She's so feminine. She nibbles on carrots. Like, you know, she's so, in every way, the maternal mum. I was nothing like that. I was a tomboy. I just wanted to play sport. So don't let anybody's perception or even your own perception define you, because your next choice and the next breath will be different. And that's really a big part of this choice here, is that I've had women say to me, you know what, I'm never going to have children, ever. And I'm just one of those women. And then they finally get to a point in their life and they go, you know what, I've changed my mind. And I'm 45 or I'm 50 or I'm even 60. There's women having IVF at the age of 60. They are. And they're changing their mind, and they've finally given themselves permission to change their mind, because they held up the banner going, I'm never going to have kids. Never ever. You know? And so again, it's so important not to define yourself by yesterday's thought or by an hour ago. You know, I'm not going to do this, because you just don't know where life takes you. You may not be in the right relationship, or you may not have enjoyed your career enough. Like, I know I couldn't have done it without enjoying my career enough. I would have been one of those resentful mums that you see out there as crabby, cranky, you know, bloody kids, you know, all that kind of stuff. Sure, there's times where I wish I wasn't mothering. I love my title as a mum, but there's times where I go, you know what, right now I don't want to be a mum. In this next half an hour, I don't want to be a mum. Go ask your dad. Go ask your papoos or yeah. Go ask somebody else to help, because I just want to finish this report. Or I'm reading this lovely book. Or I want to share on my own, you know. Whatever it might be. So, you know, having all those awarenesses of who you are and where you go is so important. So in the career, and what I want to say about your career is, some of the things that I really notice for women who have chosen a career path is, don't give it up until you're ready. I really, really cannot say that any less powerfully, because you may think, you know what, I need to finish this project, or I need to get to this entitlement, or I need to get to this price bracket, because when you choose to make a re-entry into the workforce, you'll come from that point. And if you do it before you're ready, you'll be regretful and you'll be cranky. And if you do decide to have kids, be prepared that things will change. Your points of views when you have children change a great deal. And a lot of women go, you know what, I never realised that I'd reevaluate my career. I never realised that I'd reevaluate even who I am. Do I want to go back to work full-time, part-time? And gosh, you know what, having children, one of the things that children have done for me is, I'm far less selfish. I eat more fruit than I've ever eaten. And it's really made me think more about, how do I choose to express myself? How do I choose to, now I have 3 children, and I want to give them a certain lifestyle which comes with an element of money. How do I choose to make a career that earns good bucks that I love doing? So they really present that. You know, like, I know when I was single, so I got plenty of time. I got lots of time to work that out. But now it's like totally in my face about, well, who am I being?